So we ended our last class with verse number 11. So we'll start with 12, even though I did little bit 12, but still we'll start it again with the 12 because it's a segment of 4 verses, 12, 13, 14, 15, which really explains the method for perceiving the existence of God. Okay, because this whole chapter is about Brahma. Okay, so the methods also they give us how to perceive God. So let's do the Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthai Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasen Grathitam Puran Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritvarshine Bhagavati Mashtadashadhyayane Am Tvam Anusandhame Bhagavat Gite Bhavdveshine Namo Astu Te Vyas Vishal Buddhe Full Arvind Ayat Patra Netar येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्ण प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः प्रपन्न पारिजाताय तोत्र वेत्र एकपानये ज्ञान मुद्राय कृष्णाय गीता अमृत दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत् वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूर मर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगत गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेला कुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तनी सो तीर्ना खलु पांडवै रन नदी के वर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलम गीता अर्थ गंधोटकम नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदय रह पे पिए मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघ्यते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम् यं ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यस्तवे वेदै साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदे गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानवस्थितगतेन मनसः पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्य अन्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. So we are on chapter 15, Purushottam Yoga. So verse number 12. Yat aditya gatam tejaha jagat bhasyate akhilam. Yat chandramasi yat cho agnyo tat tejaha vidhi mamakam. So I gave you the meanings of each word last time. So let me read the direct translation of this verse is that light which is residing in the sun and which illumines the whole world, and that which is in the moon and in the fire, know that light to be mine. Okay. So creator is God. That energy in all of this is divine energy. So that's why he's giving us these examples where we draw the energy, the light. If you remember your early classrooms, we were all told very scientifically that earth is a portion of the sun which got detached. Then slowly it got cold. Then the life could come over here. So the teacher said earth came from the sun. If you would have asked the teacher, where did the sun come from? Nobody could answer that. Science can move only in a field where it can gather the necessary data to calculate and to prove. That's a science. A lot of our questions of why, how, what, science cannot answer. That's why we are drawn towards the philosophy. Where science is silent, Philosophy starts its pilgrimage towards this absolute satisfaction. And that's where the faith is needed. We don't need the faith for something which is concrete in front of us. It is right there. Sun is there. But to really think that there's a divine light in the sun, we need the faith. And that's what he is telling us. See, just like there are so many different equipments, and we see the manifestations according to the equipment. Light in the bulb, heat in the furnace, the movement in the fan, they are all different manifestations. Bulb, furnace, fan, they are all dissimilar equipments. But the energy, the electricity is the same running through them. The same way the light in the moon, the heat in the fire, that light which we see coming from the sun, he says it's mine. It's mine. See, human nature is such that we are attracted toward what we feel is significant. By regarding the body, spouse, children, and wealth, we regard it very significant. That's why we become attracted to them. Our body is very significant to us. So over here, Lord Krishna is revealing that it is his energy which manifests in all significant things in the creation. Because sun is significant, moon is significant, fire is significant. We cannot have our life on this earth without these. And he says he is responsible for the effulgence in all these. Sometimes ago, we studied a Upanishad, which is called Ken Upanishad. There was a story over there, story from the Puranas. Devata and Daitya, they had a war between them. And the Devatas, they won the war. And they became very proud, very arrogant, that we are bigger than anything else. They had kind of a pride that they thought that they are bigger than God. God wanted to teach them humility. God took the form, it's according to that scripture, he took the form of a yaksha. Yaksha is like some effulgent creature, very bright up in the sky. So Indra sent Agni Dev over there to find out who this brightest thing is up there in the sky. What did Agni say? Agni said that I am fire god. I possess the power of burning the entire universe to ashes in a moment. Reveal who you are. So he was talking with a lot of arrogance. Yaksha put a blade of grass. He said, burn this. Fire god tried and could not do it. He came back to Indra. I don't know. I really cannot do anything. Then slowly Indra sent the god wind also, god of water also. So all those demigods, they could not. Then finally Indra came and got disappeared, and his divine, he just wanted to really know. So that God decided to create a form of a Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya is a female power. Uma was seated over there. Uma told Indra, this Yaksha was God himself. all of you get the energy from him. But because of your own arrogance, you think that you don't. And that's how this story ended. That Indra came to his senses. Yes, we have become powerful, but not more powerful than who has given us the energy. Okay, so wherever we feel that, hey, we have acquired something, attained something, it should make us humble, not arrogant. So that's why in this verse also, he says, all the lights, light of the sun also, light of the moon also, light of the fire also, it's me. It's me. So I told you earlier that these are the ways to connect with God. These are the ways to perceive God. So when you do Surya Namaskar in the morning, in your mind, tell yourself there's a God in that energy. At night when you see the moon, have reverence for God. He's the one who created it. Okay. Then he says in number 13, Gam avishya cha bhutani dharyami aham ojasa pushnami cha aushadhi sarva somaha bhutva rasatmakaha. Gam means the earth. Avishya, permitting. Bhutani, all beings. Dharyami, I support. Aham, I. Ojasa, by my energy. See, there's two words, ojas and tejas, right? Ojas, energy. Ushnami, I support. Oshadhi, the herbs. Sarva, all. So Mahamoon, Bhutva, having become. Rasatmaka, juicy. Permeating the earth, I support all beings by my energy. Having become the juicy moon, I nourish all herbs. So the capacity in the earth to sustain life and nourish it, the warmth and the mineral contents are all, God says, my vitality. Okay? So while expressing through the earth, he says it is potential in the earth is my power. We sometimes call it a soil, organic soil, or water, or this and that, but everything has come from God. Never forget that aspect. So life giving a secret capacity in the earth. He says, that's me. And what does he mean by this having become the juicy moon, I nourish all the herbs? If you ever get a chance of study naturopath or Ayurveda, you will see that they say that certain plants, when they're exposed to the moon for a certain number of days, the medicines or the potency in those plants, they gain certain curative powers in those herbs. So that's why he's declaring that in this verse. So the sun, the moon, the fire, they are the sources of all the energy. And the very source of the energy from where it flows through this phenomenal expression is the infinite divinity. So, and earth, we can see that from the same earth or in the same plant. We see the green leaves and the yellow roses or the red roses or the pink roses. I have a plant outside, it's a mum plant. Same plant. All the flowers are yellow. There are hundreds of flowers on that plant. One flower is pink. Just one. When you look at it, you say, only God can do that. It's a divinity everywhere. Then he says, brings it a little closer to us. See, first outside, the sun and the moon and the fire. Then little closer the earth, and now he's talking about our own body. So if you don't want to pay attention to the outside, the external, at least pay attention to your body. This is also created by God. Aham Vaishvanarah Bhutvaha Prani Nam Deham Ashritah Pran Apan Samayuktah Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. Aham is I, Vaishvanara. That is a gastric fire. Another name for it is Jatragni. Bhutva, having become Prani Nam, of living beings. Deham, the body, Ashrita, abiding. Pran, Apan, Sama, Yuktaha. Associating with Pran and the Apan. I'm sure you're all familiar with these 5 prans. Pran, Apan, Saman, Udan, and Vyan. So over here, he's mentioning only Pran and Apan. Okay. Pachami, I digest. Annam, food. Chaturvidham, fourfold. I, having become the gastric fire, abide in the body of beings and associated with Pran and Apan, digest the fourfold food. So the same supreme energy, or the divine energy, expresses itself as the warmth of life in all living creatures. Without this gastric fire, the warmth in us, we cannot digest food. That's why it's called a digestive fire, Vaishvanara. Then what is this fourfold food? There are 4 ways we consume food. Even though there are variety of foods we eat, but they can be classified under 4 heads. In Sanskrit, the names are Bhojya, Peya, Leha, Koshya. These are the Sanskrit names from the scriptures. Bhojya is the foods that are chewed with the teeth. Peya is anything which we swallow, like milk, juices. Leha means something which we lick, like honey. And koshya is something which we suck, like sugar cane. So these are 4 ways, or if you want to know, there are in a different terminology, the food which can be masticated, we chew. Food which can just directly swallow. Food which can be sucked, and the food which can be licked. So under 4 qualifications, 4 heads. Okay. So there are 4 types. Embrace all kinds of food, whether it's a vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Prepared, unprepared, raw or ripe. These are the only 4 ways you can consume. Okay. And ultimately, whatever we consume through our mouth gets digested, assimilated, absorbed because of the digestive fire. And he says, this is I am. So he resides right inside us in the form of this warmth. That's how close God is. For also in the sun, or even beyond sun, close also as our own life. So far, the chain of manifestations indicated here in these 3 verses are through the sun, the Lord expresses as the sunlight, giving the necessary warmth in the atmosphere to sustain life on the surface of this earth. By his vitality, he feeds the earth with the capacity to nourish the plant kingdom. As a moonlight, he again fills the vegetables or the herbs with their certain food capacities. And it is he again, as pran conveys the food from the mouth into the belly. That is a pran. Assimilates the food there too, and ultimately supervises the excretion of the waste matter. See, excretion happens with the apan vayu. Intake of the food happens with the pran vayu. That's why he mentioned only these two over here. I am pran also, I'm apan also. I am in earth also, I'm in the sun also. It's like a total process. Total process. So all manifestations at different levels are just the same divine energy. That's the bottom line. And the last verse of this segment is number 15. Sarvasya cha aham hridi sannivishtha mata samriti jnanam apohanam cha vedai cha sarve aham eva vedya vedant krit vedvid eva cha aham. Okay, so look at the beautiful way he has put all these 4 verses. Now, just not only from the food, now to the intellect also, the knowledge also. Sarvasya of all, cha means and, aham I, hridi in the heart, sanivishtaha seated, mataha from me, samriti memory, jnanam knowledge, apohanam their absence, cha means and, vedai by the Vedas, sarve by all, aham I, ev means even, vedya to be known, Vedant Krit, the author of the Vedanta. Ved with, the knower of the Veda. Ev means even, cha means and, aham means I. Beautiful verse. I am seated in the hearts of all. From me are memory and knowledge, as well as their absence. Some things we need to forget. The old notions, the old beliefs, the beliefs which keep us stuck, we need to forget those also. And that's also with God's energy. We let go of the garbage. So I am seated in the hearts of all. From me are memory and knowledge, as well as their absence. I am verily that which has to be known in all the Vedas. I am indeed the author of the Vedanta. Vedanta is like it towards the end of the Vedas. There's a knowledge which is given in the form of the Upanishads to really know God. First-hand experience. And knower of the Vedas, I am. First of all, what is this heart? Is it a physical heart we are talking about? If somebody gets a heart transplant, then it's somebody else's heart. Philosophically, this heart means mind which has been trained to entertain constantly the positive qualities. And what are the positive qualities? Love, tolerance, mercy, charity, kindness, etc. So a peaceful, joyous mind, settled in tranquility, alert and vigilant to receive new messages of the higher inspiration is called heart, philosophically. Okay? So the infinite, the God says, I dwell in the heart. What does it mean? That means we got to cultivate these qualities in us. Only then we will feel the presence of God in our heart. If our mind is restless, that's why I constantly tell you, no matter which class, what we are studying, keep an eye on your mind. Keep it peaceful, keep it joyous, keep it calm. Then you will feel the presence of God with you. It's not that in a disturbed mind, God is not there. God is still there, but we just don't feel it then. It's almost like if I plug my phone to charge, but it's not charged completely. My phone won't get charged. So, calm mind, we are connected with God, and that is the heart is talking about. So, the infinite dwells in the heart means that He is present everywhere, but it's evident, it's self-evident, and we can feel that during our meditations. So, in the heart of a meditator, because mind is calm at that time, no agitation, you feel the God in your heart. And from me are memory and knowledge as well as their absence. So it is the God, that godly energy that illumines all our experiences in life. The memory really means the experiences. So from this supreme, all our alone are memories, knowledge, as well as forgetfulness. Certain things we need to forget, because if we keep on remembering it, we are creating a deeper grooves in our mind. And we got to decide what I need to remember and what I need to forget. And that power comes from God too. Because memory is constituted of our experiences of the past. And it's stored away. So that memory it guides us. But if that memory becomes an obstruction, then we need to forget it. That's why we pray to God. That any kind of, forgiveness. What is the forgiveness? That I want to forget all those bad experiences which we are keeping me away from feeling close to God. So he says, I am that too. So acquisition of new knowledge and giving up of our false notions. See, acquisition can happen only when we can weed out the false. See, that's why these next Saturday, the Navratris are starting. The 9 days of worshipping the three goddesses, really very significant. Very, very significant. First, we got to get rid of the negativity from us. Only then we can add some positivity in there. So forgetfulness of the bad and acquisition of the good. And with that kind of a mind, meditate. We'll talk more about it next Sunday. Or maybe Saturday, we'll see which day. Say a capacity to forget, this is what he's telling us right now. A capacity to forget is an essential prerequisite. Otherwise, Lord Krishna wouldn't have added in here in acquiring the new knowledge. Physically also, if I need to put something in a bottle and something is rotten in there, I better throw it out, wash it, sterilize it. Only then the new stuff we put in there. Okay. So God has created within us an amazing mechanism equipped with the faculties of knowledge and memory. See, we often talk about the brain. Brain is a hardware. It's a hardware. Mind and intellect are like it's a software. In the same brain, we have the power to clean this mind and intellect of ours. Vedas talk about quite a bit. Innumerable material and spiritual instructions are given in the Vedas. That is the objective of all the Vedic knowledge. Because the objective is to know Him, to know God. And there is one of the Upanishad we did, which is called Katha Upanishad. Over there, the Rishi said, Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amanante. All the Vedic mantras are actually pointing towards God. So that means the objective of all this is God. And that's what we are learning in these 4 verses. Because we want to know God. We want to experience God. We've been talking about it. We've been hearing about it. We have some idea about it. But we want to experience it. And experience can happen only when we first believe in it, then practice it. So then he says, it is I that is to be known by all the Vedas. So that's why I said, Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amanante. Vedas talk about that, yeah, it is I that is to be known by all the Vedas. If somebody says, no, I have studied the Vedas, I have remembered the Vedas, and I'm going to do something else with it, the person has gotten off the path. We are supposed to know God firsthand. I am indeed the author of the Vedanta as well as the knower of the Vedas. So that means the seeker who listens to the Vedas, reflects upon their wisdom, and ultimately comes to experience the fulfillment of his life, is also at no stage anything other than the infinite. So it's like we feel the oneness with that when we follow these teachings. To sum up these 4 verses, to me, I think these 4 verses are extremely important for a serious seeker. To sum it up, it's God's light in the sun. Same light fertilizes the earth, the divine light. And the moonlight supplies the food value to the plant kingdom. It's also divine light. And it is truth itself as the body warmth that presides over the assimilation of the food within the body, supervises the processes of life's transactions with the world outside. And it's the same divine light that makes it possible for us to gain experience, store away the knowledge, and replace ignorance with better knowledge. Because ignorance is also inside us. That is the false knowledge. We got to replace that. So the eternal principle, which we call God also, divinity also, it expresses itself as the phenomenal powers. And with their activities, it's possible for life to exist on the surface of this earth for us human beings. And this is the same power which helps us grow when we cultivate more and more purity in us. And then he says, this is the same principle which has been talked about in the Vedas as the eternal reality. And to know it and bring it in our experience is to know infinite. So it's not just enough to know it theoretically, but to bring it into our experience. Anubhav. That's what he's talking about. So all these 4 verses are enumerating the glories of God and telling us the essence of all scriptures is to engage your mind day and night Because at night we see the sun, the moon. Daytime we see the sun. But we always see our own body. We are conscious of our heart also, and the mind also, intellect also. So he says, day and night, stay in a loving devotion to God and Guru. That's what he's saying. Only then we will rise above this ignorance. So the sun, the moon, the earth, the body, the mind, the intellect, we are all familiar with these. So no new example he is giving us. Only thing is we got to connect with this. And in the following verses, we'll see he will point out the true nature of infinite as unconditioned, all-pervading, and eternal. Unconditioned, the word is nirupadhik, all-pervading, sarvagatam, and eternal is nityam. But one thing we got to always remember, the infinite reality, divinity, God, whatever we call it, transcends all intellectual concepts. I always tell you that intellectual concepts are finite. Finite cannot describe the infinite. Okay. So we'll stop it here. If you have any question, we can talk about it. And then in 5 minutes, we'll end this class. Anybody who wants to leave, they can leave. I can still be here for you guys if you want to discuss further. But to me, I think these 4 verses together, when we study it like this, it just throws a lot more light on this topic. Yes, Jyoti.
Nana has a question, and then Sujata.
Yes, Nana.
Hershi, I would like to know the 4 names in Sanskrit, like Bhojya, Posa, Leha. What is the
Bhojya? Yeah, Bhojya, Peya, Leha. Peya is P-E-Y-A. जैसे होता है ना पेय पदार्थ कहते हैं ना पेय, something which is like a water or juice. So Bhojya, Peya, Leha, L-E-H-Y-A, Leha, licked. And Koshya, K-O-S-H-Y-A, Koshya. Koshya means
K-O-S-H-Y-A. Okay, got it.
Something you need to suck, okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Got it.
So anybody else? Any question?
Sujata.
Hershji, I just wanted you to clarify the moon being the nourishing aspect for the plants.
Yeah, some there are some. That's why I said some in the Ayurveda. It's mentioned some of the herbs. They just get the potency from the moon alone.
I see.
Okay, so some herbs, herbal plants. So that's why he used the word Oshadhi. Okay, in Ayurveda, naturopath, even I don't know, in North India, there are certain days they make certain food. This is like a culturally they do it, but there must be some meaning behind it. They'll leave that food outside under the moonlight, especially a kheer.
Yeah, we do it in
over there also. Yes, so they leave it so that the moon rays, they say, they go into that kheer, and it becomes very potent for human beings to digest. So even a cooked food with the moon rays.
One of the Purnimas, I forget which one.
Yes.
Yeah, I forget.
Yes. So it's like those traditions have come from there. These rishis, they understood it better. The whole nature. What can this nature do to us? And certain plants, they say they grow much better, more at night. So we got to we are not agriculturists, so I really don't know the examples of those, but I just take Lord Krishna's words.
No, I agree. I do
There's
too.
a guy
Yes.
Sujata.
Yeah.
I think in Navratri, when we have a Purnima after the Navratri, that's when we offer the poa to to the
Achha.
moon.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's just
And
like a draw that
Yeah.
energy from the moon. So, you know, these customs, they really made us feel one with the nature. And not superior to nature. We are just one with it. We are just one small part of this nature.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
Jyoti.
Raj has a question, Raj.
Yes,
Namaskar,
Raj.
Harshji.
Namaskar, Raj.
This is just a general question. Do we ever study like individual Vedas in the class?
Ritual Veda is,
No,
um,
individual, any Veda, like
see,
could be any Veda.
Upanishads are
Yeah,
part of Vedas. We do that. When we do the Havan, all
yes.
those verses are from the Vedas. So, but if you want to study the whole Veda,
Yeah.
we have never done it if you're asking that,
Yeah.
like in its entirety, because there are thousands and thousands of verses. And most of the language, Vedic language, is an ancient Sanskrit. Uh, I'm not familiar with it. So that's why not too many people know that Sanskrit actually. So that's why my Guruji, he did a little favor to us.
Mhm.
He wrote these books. So these are the Vedic verses. And he has mentioned from which Ved, by which Rishi, and what is the verse number. So he has written quite a few, given us quite a few knowledge in these. So if we study this, and maybe one of these days, if there are enough students, we can just grab something. But Upanishads are the one which really interests us. And we have done quite a few Upanishads. And I'm going to do in the month of December retreat about, this will be like a 3-4 hours, just Upanishad. One Upanishad, I'll try to finish it. Okay. So Upanishads are the Vedas. But otherwise, Vedas, they got like a, gosh, several thousand verses in each Veda. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
Maybe they have recited all the Vedas in all those mutts that were created. Who knows? Maybe those monks, I'm just thinking to myself.
We don't know. Yeah. And then ultimately, we got to just show our reverence, respect for all these rishis who wrote so much for us. We get to see what we draw from it. And what we draw, is it uplifting us or not, making us a better person or not? Sometimes our own intellectual mind tries to find faults in them too. That we got to wean out. We got to see, hey, is it helping me? And I'm going to just keep that with me. That's how I like to study these books. Flaw and faults we can find with anybody.
Namaste, Harshji.
Namaste, namaste, Shilpa. I know you. Anybody who wants to leave, and let me do the Shanti part, then you can leave. And because I know you're all eager to come here today. Beautiful day shaping up. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. So just don't forget your masks, even though we'll be outside, but there will be so many people. So I would recommend the mask, please. Okay. So Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Any question? I'm here because I don't have to